Well, good after morning. Hey, this is Dr. John L. Mack, and I'm back. I wanted to just to come and share this message with you. There was some technical problems with when we recorded this morning, so I just took another small amount of time to recreate the message because I think it's so very, very important for men to hear what we shared this morning. So, in my quiet time, the Lord dropped in my spirit this morning. He says, John, he said, the world is waiting for you to walk in your worth. And when I thought about that, I said, and when walking in our worth, all too often we feel that we're not worthy, that we're not good enough, that we're an imposter, that we don't qualify, that somehow everybody else does, but that we don't measure up or meet the criteria. So it's time for maximized manhood. When we understand what it means to be a maximized man, then we'll be able to have a better impact and influence in our communities, in our homes, in our churches, our schools, everywhere we're impacted and surrounded, that we'll have a better impact. Now, we want to talk with you about the 4 core values of being a maximized man. When you walk in your worth, you become that maximized man. What 4 core values cement and strengthen that bond so that you are able to become a maximized man? Well, those 4 values are maturity, decisiveness, consistency, and strength. That's what God is looking for every man to exemplify and to express in their life. And coincidentally, that's what women are looking for in men, and children are looking for in their fathers, and all across the board. Those are the 4 key core criteria that people are looking at for a man to be considered a maximized man. So a maximized man is strong, and this is an image of Mighty Mouse. And some of you are too young to even have heard of Mighty Mouse. He was a cartoon character during the time that I was growing up. And every Saturday morning, you get up and you watch cartoons. And this was one of those cartoons. This little Mighty Mouse would come in, and they would have a song, a theme song. His theme song was "Here I come to save the day." And that was just so powerful. But that's what a maximized man is. That they want him to come in and do what he does so that he can save the day. Now, I broke down what it means to be strong, and there are 6 characteristics. The first one is sincere. Sincerity is so important. If you're going to be a maximized man, then you don't want to come in with an inauthentic, just fake demeanor. You want to be able to operate from sincerity, and sincerity means that you're real, that you're authentic, and that pleases God and man. And then you have to be trustworthy. Can we trust you with the vision? Can we trust you with the finance? Can we trust you with the people? That trustworthiness is something that is definitely important, and a characteristic of strength that is not to be dismissed. And then resiliency. Are you resilient? To be resilient means that you get knocked down, sure we all do, that you get punches, that you get the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. But when they come at you, you're able to bounce back, to come back, to dodge them, to do what it takes to continue to stand in the midst of the circumstance. And then are you optimistic? Do you believe in tomorrow? Do you believe it's going to get better? Are you consistently working toward being better because you're optimistic that it will and that it can become better? And then are you nice? You know, it's nice to be nice. So often people are uncivil, especially in today's politically correct climate. People are not civil. They're not nice. They don't respect tradition and protocol. And as a consequence, that makes the entire experience kind of charged emotionally. But the key is that we're genuine. That strong man is genuine. He's real. And you know that. He's not only sincere, trustworthy, resilient, optimistic, nice, but he's genuine. He's real. And that is a strong man. And that's the type of strength that everyone is looking for in their leaders, in their heroes, and in the people that they look up to and that they report to. Well, listen, guys. There are 4 core values of 4 core faults as well. The 4 values are maturity, decisiveness, consistency, and strength. But the 4 core faults are immaturity, that you're not a mature person, you haven't grown up, that you're still doing childish things. indecisive, that when you're called upon to make a decision, that you're all over the place and that you refuse to take the step, to have the guts to be able to make a decision and stand by it and implement it and make it work. And are you consistent? That inconsistency over time is what leads and prevents you from being able to be recognized as a mature man and to do what mature and strong and maximized men actually do. And that other aspect is that strength is expressed in weaknesses as a core fault. And that weakness is something that we often look down upon and don't consider of having any consistent value. But guess what? You can find strength in weakness. You can find your strength in your weaknesses. When 2 Corinthians 12:9 talks about that his power is made strong, made evident, made manifest in weakness, in the weakness of man. When man comes before that just and powerful God, when he comes before him and recognizes at some point that he's not strong enough, he's not good enough, he's not capable, he is an imposter, but he recognizes that and submits to the strength and the power of the Father and of the Lord Jesus, then he's able to be able to be girded up. He's able to stand up and face the situation because he realizes it's now being faced not with his weakness, but with the strength of him who is able. Y'all better hear me because that's powerful. And that's what it means to be a maximized man, that you find that strength and begin operating in that strength. And that strength will take you to that next point. Then we find this when you're at your weakest, that you find the strength that you need to succeed. When you're at your weakest, you think, Lord, I can't do it. And your strength is not in your ability. Your strength is not in your power. Your strength is in the power of his might, that he girds you up, that he sends the people, that he sends the processes and the circumstances and the situations so that you will be able to achieve and manifest the dreams that you have. In 2 Corinthians 12:9, it again says, I delight in weakness, that he gets off, that he gets his power, because he knows that when you're at your weakest and that you're dependent on him, you're dependent on other people, when you're dependent on something other than your own power, and that you submit to that dependency, then he can elevate you and strengthen you, because it's not by your power or your might, but by his power. He's able to overcome, that you're able to overcome. So what I want to do is explore 4 core areas of weakness that if you understand them, you overcome, it will lead to the strength that you need to be able to not only survive, but to thrive in the midst of all the circumstances that you're facing in life and become the maximized man that is able to do so consistently. And that because of the consistency of that you'll be able to look back and be decisive in all areas because you already know consistency allows you to do that. And then you can look back to that next step so that your maturity is in line and that you make those mature decisions. That's what it's all about. So listen, let's explore those 4 areas of weakness so that we can go on and be able to show how we can overcome and operate in strength. Now, the first one in that word weak, W-E-A-K, is worry. The W stands for worry. We worry sometimes so much. We worry about whether or not we can do this or this is going to happen or if this person's going to do this. And so we're paying an emotional currency for something that may or may not happen. If it does happen, then we have to deal with it. If it doesn't happen, we dealt with it. We dispense all of that worry and doubt and fear unnecessarily, emotionally charging us, triggering us, causing drama to evolve and to erupt in our spirits. That is something that we should definitely stay away from and makes us weak and prevents us from showing our strength. But then the next point is the E for the excuses. We have all these excuses. I shared this morning as we were on the call, the poem that I wrote, the rap that I did a while ago about excuses. It says excuses up are coming to God. Excuses. All of them are odd. I knew a little girl, her name was Betty. She couldn't come to Jesus because she just wasn't ready. Excuses up are coming to God. All these excuses, reasons why we can't operate and move forward in the vision and the power of the might that God has already given us. Then the A is for anxiety. Anxiety is just you're just anxious for everything and you just worried that it can't happen. And then the knots, getting tied up in knots. And we'll talk about those knots because it's not what you think. Well, that first letter, the W for worry. The biggest threat to our mental well-being is worry. You see, worry is paying in advance for an issue that may or may not manifest. Worry is the most insidious activity of all. You waste precious time and thoughts over what might happen instead of working to make sure that it doesn't happen. Worry will not add one jot or tittle to your life. It says in Matthew 6:27. So worry is that first sign of weakness. Then the second one is excuses. We make all these excuses. And as I shared the little rap about excuses, about coming to God, but excuses about everything. You have dreams, but you have an excuse after excuse as to why you can't make it. So stop making excuses and start making your dreams come true. The Israelites made excuses after excuses and wound up missing out on the promised land, or at least the ones that came out of Egypt missed out on going in. So start making examples and stop making excuses. Excuses are monuments of nothingness that build bridges to nowhere. Those of us that use these tools of incompetence become masters of nothing. There was an author unknown, but is well quoted often. Adam started this whole blame game concept, and he even accused God. He blamed the fall from grace on in the garden as the woman I'm accusing you. The woman you gave me, bade me eat, and I did. So it was your fault. You shouldn't have gave me the woman. She shouldn't have been so pretty. She shouldn't have been so persuasive. Regardless, we have all these excuses, and instead of dealing in the fact that we can make the difference, we get caught up in the excuses so that it kind of removes the stigma away. Because no one wants to be laughed at and ridiculed, so we make up an excuse to justify our behavior so they can't laugh at us. Because after all, it wasn't our fault. And then it creates anxiety. And so one of the expressions of weakness is anxiety. As you are so anxious, you can't focus on what you truly want because you feel that many other things are going to go badly. Anxiety is akin to worry, but on a much, much higher level. Anxiety is the starting point of frustration and depression. Worry is temporary. It can be good because it makes you use your skills to deal with situations. But anxiety is persistent, and it often compromises your ability to function. Philippians 4:6-8 says, it tells us to be anxious for nothing. And then finally, let's get caught up in those knots. Do you feel that you're all tied up in knots? Are you unsure of where to go or how to get untied? Sometimes we tie a knot in the rope so we can just hang on. That knot is just something that gives us a clinch to hold on. But more often than not, those knots are what have us entangled. And when you learn how to untie those knots, then you're able to do anything. Strength is about untying those knots and moving forward towards your goals. Ecclesiastes 4:12 says, a cord of 3 strands is not easily cut. So it gives you strength to be able to overcome. So let's look at what's called a SWOT analysis. And anybody in business understands this concept. It talks about your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities you're presented with, and the threats that you may be facing. When we become a maximized man, we understand that we do have strengths. So we build on those strengths. We improve those strengths. We multiply those strengths, but we also have weaknesses. So we want to lessen and mitigate the impact of our weaknesses. We want to staff that weakness. We want to delegate that weakness so that we can overcome it, and that we can put in place someone strong enough. That's what the advocate has done but that's a whole nother teaching. Opportunities. So many varied and different opportunities come our way. Some good and some can lead us to even more peril and difficulty. So the key is being strong enough and understanding how to take advantage of those opportunities so that they improve us instead of diminishing us. And then threats. What are the threats that you're looking at? And are some of those threats self-imposed? I'm reminded here of James Butler, one of our long-term members and listeners, and he released a book last year or earlier this year entitled don't dilute your Kool-Aid. We talk about don't dilute your Kool-Aid. On the surface, that's just as hilarious. But when you think about it, his message is, men, if you're in a relationship and you keep looking at other women and not giving your wife or your significant other your full attention, that you're diluting your Kool-Aid, and Kool-Aid was supposed to be drank full strength. And when you got a diluted batch of Kool-Aid, it's just like that hot cup of coffee that's now got cool and it's not hot anymore. You throw it out because it's of no value. So that's the threats that we bring on. And what type of threats are we facing? The key is to be able to recognize those threats and to do this SWOT analysis so you can increase your strength, decrease your weaknesses, take advantage of opportunities, and mitigate the threats. So that's what it means to be a maximized man. But let me tell you this. The strong man is a flawed man. Throughout the Bible, David killed a bear, but then he killed Bathsheba's husband. Samson killed an army with the jawbone of an ass, but then he got suckered into spilling the secret of his strength by a woman just asking him. Moses killed an Egyptian, yet he led his people out of bondage. You know, Job, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Peter, Paul, Timothy, all of these were flawed men, yet God loved them, God honored them, and God respected them. God is concerned with our future. The enemy wants you focused on your past. So Satan makes you believe that your weakness will make you incapable of serving in the kingdom. On the contrary, it qualifies you to depend on God and less on yourself or someone else. So for the maximized man, it boils down to this: the Lord is our strength. When we explore the 23rd Psalm, it starts off with this pivotal message: the Lord is my strength. And out of that, we get two basic and powerful understanding: the Lord and strength. Who has lordship in your life, and who has the leadership in your life? Lordship means that he is strong enough, that he is the strong one, the powerful one, the one able to do it, and he's the one that has the anointing to lead. And so because he's that one, we submit to him. We submit to his lordship because he's good enough. He qualified. You know, when God was looking for someone to take away the sin of the world, he wanted someone that was blameless, that was spotless, that had no guile in him, someone that met every criteria of the law. And only one man and only one did, and that was Jesus. And because of that, we're able now to say he is Lord, and we submit and bow down to that lordship. But also, once we recognize, accept, and acknowledge the lordship, it's a question of leadership. Who are you willing to follow when that direction is given, when that order is given? Who will you march for and after? That's the leadership. So meekness is not submission, and submission doesn't mean we're weak. It means we're strong enough to allow leadership and lordship into our life so that we can get to the next level of what God wants for us to be. Brothers, as we prepare to enter another year, 2023, make sure you answer the question of lordship and leadership. Ask Jesus to become your Lord and let him become the leader in your life. Join a Bible-believing church and serve. Remember, loving the Lord is the closest thing to strength, not weakness. Be strong and be of good courage. Joshua 1:9. Thank you, brothers, for listening, and we just give you God the glory. But we ask that you would just operate in strength, that you would find the strength, that you would gird yourself up, and you go out and deal with the issues of life. Realize that you are a child of the King, and therefore that you can operate from a position of strength